We've entered a new era for the Concacaf Champions League. No more of this, MLS can't win it. The Mexican clubs dominate and nobody cares about the competition. The fact is, this is a tournament that is growing in stature every season. And last year, for us MLS fans, we reached the mountaintop as the Seattle Sounders clinched the title as Kings of Concacaf against Liga MX powerhouse Pumas. But like with every tournament, it quickly turns around to where now we have to defend the title. This season, 5 MLS clubs have earned a spot into the competition and will go at it to retain the Kings of Concacaf title for MLS. In the bracket, we have LAFC as the MLS Cup champions, Orlando City as the US Open Cup champions, the Vancouver Whitecaps as the winners of the Canadian Championship, the Philadelphia Union as the best team from the Eastern Conference, and finally Austin FC, who qualified by finishing as the best team in the West after Supporter Shield winners LAFC. Keep in mind, this competition features clubs from all over North and Central America. So along with our 4 Liga MX clubs, we also have representation from El Salvador, Honduras, Costa Rica, Panama, and this year we have 1 team from Haiti. As we look into this tournament, I'll introduce to you some of these clubs that you may not know, as well as give you my predictions for the 2023 CCL. To begin, we'll start on the much more difficult side of the bracket, where we have 2 MLS clubs along with 3 of the 4 Liga MX sides. The first matchup is Austin against Violette. Violette is the sole Haitian club in the competition this season. They earned their spot in the CCL through winning the Flow Concacaf Caribbean Cup Championship, which never rolls off the tongue any easier. This will be Violette's first appearance in the tournament since 1994, which will help because for Austin, they're just as experienced as a squad in this type of competition. Violette has a full-on Haitian team, and according to Transfermarkt, they have a relatively young squad with the core of their players under 26. 2 of these players include Ilivens Dejin, who's the heart of the midfield at 24 years old, and 18-year-old Stevenson Judy, who tallied 2 goals across Violette's 4 games in the Caribbean Cup. For Austin FC, I don't think it's surprising anyone that they need to be winning this sort of game. I think the question for Austin is more about how far they can go in this competition rather than if they'll beat Violette. Once it's their first appearance, they may or may not be ready for what's to come against Leon and Tigres, but they have the pieces to make an impact. Guys like Driussi are at that level, and as we saw last season, Austin FC knows how to score goals even in tough situations. Later on in the tournament, I think it might be tough given the squad depth and injuries Austin have suffered at the beginning of the year, but for this one, I have Austin going through. The other matchup on this side of the bracket is our only MLS and League MX matchup in the round of 16, and it's Orlando City against Tigres. For Tigres, they may be the most well-known Mexican side in the competition this year, and they are very well acquainted with the Champions League. In their last appearance in the competition in 2020, Tigres defeated LAFC in Orlando, therefore they know what it's like to win in Exploria Stadium. Their record in this competition is frightening too. 29 wins, 14 draws, and only 13 losses. So it's going to take something special to beat this side. Currently in Liga MX, Tigres sits second in the league with 17 goals scored in their only 9 games so far. Leading that charge for them was the well-known and fierce Andre Pierre Gignac, but he currently finds himself on the injured list after their draw with FC Juarez a few weeks ago. It's unconfirmed when he'll return, but it's looking like he may miss this first leg in Monterrey. But either way, this Tigres side is still stacked without him, with key guys to look out for being Sebastian Cordova and new signing Nicolas Ibanez. On the attack for Orlando, I'm a bit worried everything isn't going to be together in time for this early matchup. In their first week game against the Red Bulls, the attack appeared disjointed and didn't have really much going on. I think when they find their form, Facundo Torres, Erkinkara, and new signing Martin Ojeda will be successful, but maybe not in time to stay in the CCL. I will say though, both sides boast very strong backlines with keepers like Pedro Galese in Orlando and Nahu Guzman for Tigres, but because this game is happening right now and not in a month or so for Orlando to kind of pick up some form, I'll say Tigres will be the ones to win. Moving to the other side, we're looking at our only Canadian representative in the Vancouver Whitecaps and Real Espana. Real Espana are a historic club from Honduras who have played in this competition on 16 separate occasions while last taking part during the 14-15 campaign. To qualify for this tournament, Real Espana reached the semifinal of the Concacaf League, which is the equivalent close-ish to the Europa League in Europe. But anyways, this season they're not really doing anything incredible in Honduras. They currently sit in 5th in the league, and they have had a pretty spotty run of games over the past month. The guys to keep an eye on include Paraguayan striker Pedro Baez, who puts away most of the goals for the squad, and their number 10 João Benavides. Similar to Austin's match, this game should only go one way. There are a lot of teams from these Central American countries who can really cause a ruckus against MLS sides, but Real Espana isn't one of them. For Vancouver, their start of MLS wasn't the best after blowing the lead to RSL, but I have reasons to believe that they have what it takes for this game. They signed a new keeper in Takayoko, who showed some impressive shot-stopping ability on his debut, and they also added some strength into their attack, which was an area I was most concerned for them about. I think in this game, it's Vancouver's to lose, but as I'll get into later, I don't have them making it far. The penultimate matchup we'll take a look at includes MLS Cup winners LAFC and the big dogs from Costa Rica in Alajuela. Some would say Alajuela may be the strongest non-Mexican or American club in this competition, and they may be right. Alajuela has a long history in this competition of taking out MLS sides, and they've also won the whole thing on 2 separate occasions many years ago. Right now, they find themselves on top of the league in Costa Rica with only 1 defeat in their 10 matches. Johan Venegas has been the main attacking threat for this side, but for a team who scored 27 goals in their 10 matches in this year's Clausura, they have many threats in the squad. For LAFC, it's hard for me to pinpoint where they're at right now because at the time of recording, I still haven't seen them play their first game in MLS. But I'm expecting another strong year for LAFC. They finally checked off that MLS Cup, and now whether Steve Cherundolo will say it or not, I think this CCL run is going to be top priority at this moment. I'm yet to see who they run out at that spot after selling Chicho Arango during the offseason, and although they have other threats such as Dennis Boagna, Carlos Vela, and Jose Cifuentes, I'm afraid that a pure goal scorer will be needed for a championship run. I think this game will be tighter than LAFC wants it to be, but in the end, I think they will squeak through. And finally, our last matchup includes the Philadelphia Union and Alianza FC. For this one, we'll start with the MLS side. Like I've mentioned so many times on the channel, the Union are, to me, the most impressive side that MLS has to offer. I think the way they run their club and develop players for the future is a step above any other team in the league. Last time out in the CCL, the Union almost went all the way and held their own against Club America in the semifinals. Since then, they've remained top of MLS, and they just came off of their first MLS Cup appearance in 2023. That squad that boasted a very impressive 23 season is the exact same squad we'll be getting this year. With their star-studded lineup with Carranza, Ura, Gazdag, Glesnes, Andre Blake, and so many more, they are a good shout to take it far this year. The best part too is they've brought in very competitive depth, which is essential to make a run in multiple competitions. On the other side, Alianza is a club out of El Salvador and one that has won this competition before, albeit it was over 50 years ago. Currently, Alianza finds themselves at the top of the league in El Salvador and undefeated in their 7 games in the Clausura. There's not many pieces that I'd be scared of for the Union, but I think it's worth noting 24-year-old Elias Ezekiel, who scored 6 goals out of the midfield in his 15 games across both the Apertura and Clausura, as well as goalkeeper Mario Antonio, who's only conceded 2 goals in his past 7 matches. Overall though, I'm expecting the Union to win here comfortably. So now, looking at the bracket and adding in my predictions from the other games in the round of 16, we have another set of tasty matchups in the quarterfinals. I'd expect Austin to defeat a Leon side that is currently struggling in Liga MX. And I think the match between Tigres and Pachuca will fall Tigres' way, with Tigres reaching the final after taking out Austin. On the other side, I expect LAFC to defeat Vancouver in an all-MLS matchup, and I think the Union will take out the dark horses of CD Olympia, which will result in an MLS Cup 2023 rematch in which the Union will play LAFC, with the Union going through to the final. Until then though, that's all I got for you. I'm excited to see what kind of Concacaf craziness we see in the Champions League this year, and feel free to let me know which teams you see making the final. Until next time though, thanks for watching.